Hey everyone, I'm Matthew Stensrud, otherwise known as Mr. S, and I'm excited to spend a little bit of time with you today to talk about apples. As an social work teacher, apples are one of my favorite activities to bring up in the fall. So first, I always spend some time reading a story to help connect us to the apples. We learn about what apples can be used for, how to pick them, and at the end of the story, you'll even notice there are a number of different kinds of apples. Bray Burn, Cameo, Court Lind, Granny Smith, Red Delicious, Gala, Jazz. All sorts of great apples. Next, with my youngest ones, we spend some time with a few apple cards. Apple sauce, yellow apple, red apple, yum. You'll notice each card matches a rhythmic building brick. Apple sauce, ta-ti-ta. Yellow apple, ta-ti-ta-ti. Red apple, ta-ta-ti. Yum, ta, rest. Then we get to go on a journey as we make all sorts of patterns with these cards. So I might spend some time exploring a few patterns with the kids, but then the students get to make their own, and we'll see what we notice. What's exciting also about making all sorts of patterns with these cards is that eventually we get to read them in lots of different ways. So, what if we could read the cards forwards? Just normal, right? Apple sauce, yum, yum. Red apple, yellow apple, red apple, yellow apple, red apple, red apple, yellow apple, red apple, apple sauce, yum. Red apple, yum. But we could also read them long ways. Apple sauce, red apple, apple sauce. Apple sauce, yellow apple, red apple, yum. Yum. Red apple, yellow apple, red apple, yum. Yellow apple, red apple, yum. After we've explored reading a diagonal and lots of other ways with our kids, we then start to make even deeper connections to our rhythmic building bricks. And next, you could take out those rhythmic building bricks in cards like these and start to match them. But what if students are ready for a little bit of a bigger challenge? Next, we could get some apples of our own. Here are some apples that are blank. Then, students could get a chance to write in their own apple names that match building bricks after we've made a list on the board. This student chose Fuji, Jazz, Ginger Gold, Ginger Gold. I've never even heard of Ginger Gold, but it sounds like a pretty good apple. You'll notice that there were two that are the same. The only direction that I give for students to make their apple choices are that two have to be different and two have to be the same. That's really helpful in making elemental form patterns, because then we can have A, B, A, C, or A, B, C, A. So let's try one of those right now. A, B, A, C. Ginger Gold, Fuji, Ginger Gold, Jazz. Then the student can glue them onto a card with a pattern. It actually happens to be the same pattern I have with different apples. Honey Crisp, Crispin, Honey Crisp, Jazz. Then, what if you could find a partner and make an 8-apple pattern that could be shared using body percussion, could be shared using your voice, and could be shared on unpitched percussion instruments. More excitingly, they could even be shared on the xylophones. That would be a pretty fun journey to take. So in fact, why don't we head over to the xylophones now and see where that takes us? So to recap so far, we've used the story Apples by Ken Robbins to introduce students of all ages to apples and the different kinds of apples that we could eat. With our youngest ones, we then use graphic notation for red apple, yellow apple, applesauce, yum, and make different elemental form patterns, as well as just explore what kind of patterns we could have in a 4x4 setting with these cards. Then, with our middle elementary students, we use the different kinds of apples to make an elemental form. Here we have A, B, A, C. Honey crisp, crispin, honey crisp jazz, that students could take to their bodies or to unpitched percussion instruments, either by themselves or in small groups, or with a partner. With our oldest students, we can take these apple patterns and move them to the xylophones. Take a listen to this song from Volume 2, page 27. You might recognize the melody. Search for apples to bake, to eat, yes, we search for apples and bake a pie. Search for apples to bake, to eat, yes, we search for apples and take a bite. So I came up with that text for our older kids to work with our apple song. The other parts of the xylophone go like this. Apples crunch. Apples crunch. We also have our grabbing, picking, grabbing, picking, grabbing, picking, grabbing, eating, grabbing, picking, grabbing, picking, grabbing, picking, grabbing, munch. Or however else you want to arrange that part, because that's probably the trickiest, so you could change it to grabbing, pick, grabbing, pick, grabbing, pick, grabbing, pick, to make it a little bit easier other than those running eighth notes, which can be a little bit challenging. Next, because we're in hexatonic, it's probably one of the first times that students are improvising in a hexatonic way. That's why we have a set rhythm. So if our rhythm is still honey crisp, crispin, honey crisp jazz, we keep that rhythm and the students improvise, knowing that fa, or F, is going to be a moving note, so that we never stay on it. And we might use it in place like honey crisp, because we can travel through it. Honey crisp, crispin, honey crisp jazz. Honey crisp, crispin, honey crisp jazz. Honey crisp, crispin, honey crisp jazz. 4 times the same rhythm, but exploring the melody. I find that's really helpful for students to give them either rhythmic improvisation or melodic improvisation. So here, we've made our apple patterns. We can improvise melodically. And then head back to our song. Search for apples to bake, to eat, yes, we search for apples and bake a pie. Search for apples to bake, to eat, yes, we search for apples and take a bite. I hope this was a great way to see how you can use apples in your classroom, from the youngest kids to the oldest ones, in lots of different ways. Again, my name is Matthew Stensrud, otherwise known as Mr. S. Thanks for joining me today.